Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know what we're doing today?
Well, we're doing a special episode for everyone. And I think you've got some science shit to talk about, sort of.
Science. And that you should imagine me doing that with jazz hands.
Oh, okay.
Science.
Oh, and
yeah.
A couple of things. We're doing this from our new basement studio that we set up, if you want to call it that.
I would not call it a studio. I would call it the basement.
It is definitely the basement. We do have pictures up.
No, we have a picture up,
and we have things and stuff and lots of boxes.
We have tarps over the window.
Yeah, it's about as
it's janky as fuck.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's
more janky than it was when it was the living room.
I've got C clamps and wood clamps holding things up. So
okay, so anyway.
Also it's a live Discord tonight.
It is.
So if you want to join us the next time, so two things about that. We are starting a once a month live on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, which will be the first one we're going to be doing will be this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So you can join it by joining our Discord, which will be in the show notes. And there's a link on our main webpage at sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. And of course, we'll still always have our lives every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Now the Sunday is only once a month.
Yes,
I think you said that, but just to reiterate.
Right. So I know I cut you off with regard to what we're covering today. So what are we covering today?
We're going to talk about some UPEs.
UPEs.
And some mice.
And some mice.
And some science shit.
And some science shit.
And the light that goes out of your body when you die.
Say what?
Yeah. You light up my life.
Apparently something like that. This sounds interesting.
Yeah. It's your aura. It's something about the way you glow. No way. I don't believe in all that hooky stuff.
Right. All right. You ready to get into this?
Sure as fuck am.
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right. I am going to tell you some things today that will blow your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard about it in a science-related podcast, and I was like, shut the fuck up. No way. It, just rocked me. So, okay. I just think it's cool. I love science.
Science is cool.
But let me ask you a question.
I'm ready.
Do you believe in auras?
No.
Do you believe? No. Do you believe in an electrical field surrounding your body?
I mean, if it's measurable, sure, but if it's not, then no. Am I just supposed to assume that there's one that doesn't exist that can't be measured?
Do you believe
that exists and can't be measured?
People having a soul?
Absolutely not.
Do you believe in near-death experiences?
I believe that your fucking brain does some wild shit when you're about ready to die.
When you're lacking oxygen?
Yeah, I think that's what I think. Yeah. Do I believe in near-death experiences? I believe shit happens to your brain when you're dying.
Okay. Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you some stuff. Ready?
I'm ready.
Your body actually emits light. Okay.
Okay.
Measurable. So this is for reals. Okay?
So when people say you light up their lives, they ain't lying.
No, they're not.
All right.
Even if you're not on fire, radioactive, or touched by an angel, your body still emits a light.
But it's much brighter if you're on fire.
Right. Totally.
Right. Yeah.
In science, death is when electrical activity in the brain ceases, right? Like that's what we agree. That's when the brain stops, like we have pretty much agreed that's when we declare you dead. Time of death, right?
Yeah.
In metaphysics or spiritual beliefs, many traditions talk about the soul or inner light departing the body upon death, right?
Yeah.
And some near-death experiences describe perceiving light as the soul separates.
We've talked about this in other episodes before that we've done, and I swear it's just like you're on the operating table, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the fucking light that the whatever operating people are shining on you.
I've heard even some people say that you are having a memory of having come out of your mother's womb.
Sure.
Like the love tunnel or whatever.
I mean, like I said, your brain's doing some fucked up shit at that point. It's like,
it's
what is
lacking
going
oxygen.
on?
Your brain lacks oxygen. And that is when you are most open to hallucination.
And it's been shown, like just by measuring that the things that make you hallucinate are very active as you're dying.
Yes. In literature, the metaphor of a flame extinguishing or a light going out is often used to signify the end of a life or the passing of consciousness.
Sure.
Like, I like in movies when they show somebody like blowing out a candle or lightning strikes and then they cut to another scene.
Yeah, so I think it's good symbolism.
Symbolism, yeah.
It's very good symbolism.
Okay, and hear me out. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on to your pants.
I'm listening.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This professor guy leading a team of scientists at the University of Calgary found that living beings emit a light. It's a light so faint that it's invisible to the naked eye. And when living beings die, the light fucking goes out.
Huh.
Yeah. Measurably.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Measurable.
All right.
Anybody sciencey with the correct science tools can repeat this. Okay? This is science we're talking, not metaphysical bullshit.
Well, I did a little bit of rudimentary research, and it does need to be like, it hasn't been repeated a ton.
Sure.
Like, it definitely
it's
needs to be
still
researched
a new
more.
discovery. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The findings might seem a little fringe at first glance. It's hard not to associate scientific investigations into biological electromagnetic emissions with debunked and paranormal claims of auras and discharges surrounding living organisms. Yeah. Like the line becomes when you don't know a lot about it, it's very easy for like people to start talking about like, oh, that's your aura.
Well, we live in a headline society, right? People see that a light leaves your body at death and they're like, oh, I know what. They just assume that they can equate that to something that they believe in. And they don't bother actually doing any research on it or looking into it any further than surface, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're going to, the way these things get pushed out there is they know nobody else is going to read it either.
Right.
So they can, that's how people are able to say whatever they want to about things.
Exactly.
Because no one looks into it.
Yep.
Or a lot of people don't look into it.
So scientists observed that a phenomenon known as ultra-weak photon emission.
Okay.
So ultra-weak is like one word and it's an actual measure. Okay.
Ultra weak.
Ultra-weak.
Yeah.
Like you are so ultra-weak.
It's not Mighty Mouse. It's Minuscule Mouse.
Yeah. It's ultra-weak mouse.
Okay.
Photon emission. Okay. So UEP is this light. Okay. So scientists observed that a phenomenon, this UEP, is significantly stronger in live mice compared to their recently euthanized counterparts.
It wasn't UPE, not UEP.
UPE. That's what I said. What?
You said UEP.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, let me try
I'm pretty sure.
Scientists observed this phenomenon known as a UPE. I did say UEP because I just wanted to say it again.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Well, I am dyslexic. So, anyways, it's significantly stronger in live mice compared to their recently euthanized counterparts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, the UEP is a real
UPE.
UPE. God damn it! I'm gonna get that wrong all
Apparently,
episode.
yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Well, okay. When I was putting this together in my notes, I always said "oop" because it's a oop, UPE. I was calling it. I did it again just now.
No, you said it right just now.
UPE.
You said it right.
Whoop. That's what I was calling it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which do you prefer, the dyslexic UEP or the whoop?
Just do the hook. At least
one?
then we know what you're
Okay.
talking about. We'll just substitute what we know to be UPE as your, take on
What
it.
if I just call it the ultra weak light?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay. So the ultra weak light is a real scientifically studied phenomenon where living organisms emit extremely low levels of light, so weak that it's not visible to the naked eye. So you would have to have all of this scientific equipment, like a dark room and these other things that are scientific. I can't think of the word, goddammit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is not the same as bioluminescence. Like
Okay.
it's very important that everybody understand this. Like when we're talking about ultra weak light, the
Yeah.
UPEs,
Yes.
it's not the same as bioluminescence. Like what happens in a firefly. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not trying to say that we fucking glow. We do not glow.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's rather a faint, spontaneous emission of photons, hence the P
Right.
in the UPE, in the visible and ultraviolet spectrum, often linked to metabolic processes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into that just a little bit. Like, I'm only going to talk about the chemistry here just a little bit because I don't know enough about it to be able to answer a single goddamn question. Okay. So your body glows like, it doesn't glow.
We look into these things just because they're things that
It's
we're curious
interesting.
about, right?
Yeah,
And people are going to take this information and they're going to equate it to, hooey bullshit that.
Yeah. And I'm going to get
isn't-
into that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So your body is like a broken light bulb trying to stay on, but it's not bright enough to see. Okay.
Okay.
Because you got batteries inside you, right? And the batteries are trying to, stay lit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for that there are those like rechargeable batteries that you charge too many times and
Yeah.
they don't fucking work
Those
anymore.
suck. Yeah. Yeah. To capture the light emissions. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
The researchers use high-tech imaging equipment as well as so-called ultra dark enclosures that removed any environmental light interference. Ultra dark being another actual measure, like ultra weak.
I don't know that I've ever seen ultra dark, but I was at Mammoth Cave once. Okay. And they do this thing where they stop you in the middle of the cave and they make everybody shut everything off. Like you can have no light whatsoever. And
Put your phone in your fucking pocket.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, that type of dark, that amount of dark is very
Visceral. Like
yeah.
you can almost
feel
tangible.
it on you. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I need to sleep in. I need ultra dark. Yeah. So these guys, they use this high-tech imaging equipment in dark rooms
Sure.
to block out even a little bit of light. Okay. They don't want any environmental light interference when they're doing these studies.
Okay.
Okay. No praying required. Repeatable results upon repetition of the experiment because scientific process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
what we're
why we
going
like
for here.
science.
Yeah. So what these researchers found is that while the living and dead mice had the same body temperature, which they kept at room temperature, which was 37 degrees Celsius, because they heated up the dead mice to make sure that heat was
Wasn't the
not.
factor.
Yeah, they try to control for every single factor.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The live mice showed robust UPE emissions compared to the UPE emissions of the dead mice, which were nearly extinguished. Yeah.
Okay.
So you could see these lights going out.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't just with mice though. They also did this with plants in the same experiment.
Yeah.
They had two different types of leaves and they found the same phenomenon happen in
Gotcha.
these leaves where they would injure the plant. And like, even though they're plants and like plants supposedly, I don't know, they don't have feelings and stuff and you can't hurt a plant. But just saying I injured the plant, like it made me feel sad. Like I can't tear a leaf. I'm like, sorry. Like, I don't know, but I can mow that fucking lawn though.
Right.
And I can pluck that dandelion. I don't give a fuck. But you say injure the plant and like the word injure to cause pain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they cause pain to the plant, to the leaves, and they were able to see this phenomenon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
UPE is the result of metabolism in the cells. So what happens is this, okay?
Yeah.
When an organism is stressed, biochemical pathways are activated and they get all excited and they produce this thing called reactive oxygen species, ROS.
Okay.
Okay. And when you get too much ROS, that excites electrons and causes ultra weak photon emission.
Okay.
The UPE.
Yeah.
The aforementioned UPE. Okay.
Right.
So the ROS causes the ROS, we were the break.
This is such a technical look,
Yeah.
we got all the science here.
I mean, I'm telling you all the acronyms. I don't know what you want. Scientific equipment, like stuff,
Yeah.
ultra weak, ultra dark.
I appreciate this isn't something that was on my radar, but it's interesting. I like it. So, yeah.
And I love science, but like if you get any harder than this to where I cannot joke around about it to make it stick in my head, it's over my head. Seriously. Like I love science, you guys, but when I took biology 1 and 2 in college, I studied so hard and yet I only got C's. And that's a big deal. Because let me tell you about my study process.
Yeah.
It was intense and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I am not ashamed of it. I would take notes in the lecture. I would take notes in the lab. And those are separate phenomenons, right? Separate instances. Okay.
Right.
I would then read the textbook and take insane notes from the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I would take all 3 of those notes and combine them into one set of notes.
Right.
And then that was me handwriting them. I would then do it again because this is all my form of studying, right? As I'm going over my notes and combining them, then I would type my notes just so that I went from handwriting them to then typing them to try to activate different parts of my brain as I'm also going through all these notes. So now I've like read these things 3 times each, right?
You're stressing me out just telling me about this process.
Because my memory is so bad. Like I have no retention.
Right.
So, I mean, I would ask questions in class and I would stay after. Like I'm a good student. I just have no retention.
I can attest to that.
I have interest. I have enthusiasm for the topic. I have curiosity. I love learning.
Right.
I just have no retention.
But wife can literally look at something and then 3 seconds later I can ask her about it and she will not remember.
At all.
So.
At all. Like, how many times did you ask me, like, how much did you spend at the grocery store before I finally said, you should really stop asking me that question?
I
have
can't
no
ask
fucking
that
idea.
question. You don't even have.
And I get stressed out when you ask me it because I literally don't know. And I'm like, why would you do that to me?
Well, to me, it's a simple question, right?
Right.
Like, and it's not meant to be stressing you out.
Right.
It's just like when I think in different terms.
You can remember
right?
every number you ever met.
I still remember the UPC code for Piggy Chews at a pet store I used to work at, which was 727-348-78005.
Right, but that store no longer exists.
It doesn't. Yeah, and that's like 30 years ago. So who gives a fuck? But I still have that number in my head.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Whereas like I can look at a number, look away and be like, I know I just looked at a number, but I'll be goddamned if I could tell you what that number was.
Right.
But I can sometimes if I'm in the right frame, I can tell you if it was even or odd, or I can tell you, I think it was a multiple of 3.
Yeah.
Like I can do weird things like that. Like basically it's similar to being like, I can't remember this woman's face, but I could tell you what she was wearing.
Sure.
That's how I relate it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, back to science.
Yes.
Instead of my brain.
Right.
Which has its lights are going out. So basically, UPE is a light generated by chemical reactions in the body.
Okay.
And particularly those involving free radicals and excited molecules. Very excited. They're dancing.
Yeah.
And they're causing all these friction rubs and lights.
Okay. All right.
The phenomenon has been observed in a myriad of life forms. So, like, every so often, like, a scientist is like, oh my God, look, you guys. But then either the wrong people, like religious-y freaks, get a hold of it and they're like, look, it's the soul. And so, like, you know, and then scientists are like, never mind. And, you know, they don't have the internet yet. So they're like, run away, run away. We don't like that. That religion thing is bullshittery. We shall not. Or either that or other scientists and their, you know, mansplaining arrogance is like, that is ridiculous. Plants and animals are not the same. They do not have lights. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're right. Why even check? Why bother looking? You fucking arrogant fuck. Right? Like, yeah, I'm just going to put away every fucking microscope because you already answered all the goddamn questions. Man.
Right.
Male hubris person. I could not possibly learn anything after this. You know all. Yeah. So that's what happens with science.
I'm okay.
It's true, though. You know I'm right. Either the Christians or the mans come and get it and snatch it out your hands.
So what I'm hearing is that we need to staff science with all women.
All women atheists.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, literally, okay, I keep going back to this. Literally, it was only within the last, 5 years that we women realized that men had been in charge of the research for pads, feminine products, and they had been using water instead of blood and could not understand the big fucking deal. What's the difference? And women are like, because blood is viscous and water isn't, you fucking fuckface idiot.
Right.
And that is why we need women in the fucking labs.
Yeah.
That is why. How much science are we missing because men just are like, I know everything. Like, no, you don't. You're an idiot. Even if you don't menstruate, the fact that you don't know there's a difference between blood and water, like, I want to kick you in the dick. Every single science man who it never occurred to.
Right.
Like, honestly. And yes, I'm being sexist. I'll tone it down. But I mean, that one always gets me. Like, that to me is like, that's the ultimate. That's just the fucking ultimate.
Sure.
It's just,
no, I agree.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that goes across the board for represented people across the world. Like, I mean, like, you know.
And it's why diversity fucking matters.
Right.
Yeah.
That it does.
Yeah. And it's why it's a goddamn crime against humanity that we're doing away with DEI right now. This is why. Because science matters, and because we can't have good science unless we can have people from all different walks of life in there looking at all the shit and asking the right questions.
Right.
So, okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
This phenomenon has been observed in a myriad of life forms: bacteria, single-celled organisms. Yeah. Plants, animals, and even humans who, you know, are animals, but they like to think that they're the center of the universe and separate from the animal kingdom. Anyway, metabolic slowdown directly leads to photon emissions slowing to a stop. Okay. So our bodies stop, our metabolic bullshittery stops, and our lights go out. Period. Yeah. Okay. Based on the researchers' findings, the UPE, the light imaging, could eventually be used for clinical research as a non-invasive tool for diagnosing patients in a clinical setting. So that's why we're like pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in very early stages, still needs lots more study. Not even sure how to apply it across the board yet. But like, I just heard this and I was like, record scratch, stop.
But
what?
Speaking, this is kind of off subject, but speaking of light, it reminded me, I just heard of a scientific study that showed that we apparently we just recently we teleported light for the first time.
And that like blew my mind too.
Yeah. Which it basically is going to open up ways for us to communicate instantaneously across even galaxies.
So
like it's because
so not only can we talk to like people on Mars when they get there, like immediate, like we don't have to wait for the AT&T like 3-minute
right
drag.
Yeah.
But like we can talk to people in over there past all of those.
Yeah, like we could talk to people on Mars and it would be just instantaneous.
But other galaxies, you said.
Right. Yeah.
In the Ender's Game series by the horrible human being Orson Scott Card.
Yeah.
Horrible person, fantastic author.
Sure.
Ender's Game.
Right.
They referred to that as something like the Ansible.
Right. Yeah.
And like it came from like the alien technology that they had, but it had to do with faster than light stuff.
This isn't faster than light necessarily. I mean, it is, I guess.
I mean,
but,
if you're like
right, it has to do with particles or something. But they refuse to be separated basically. Like
okay.
they are in two places at once essentially.
They're like Velcro and Schrodinger's cat all together in the box.
Right.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
but it just talking about light reminded me of that I just recently came across
because
that.
we sent some over there, wherever there is.
We had it.
We
science.
teleported
We
it.
scienced it. You know,
we did the fuck out of that light.
Yeah.
Do you want that light inside your body? The teleported light?
I don't know.
I'm worried about that teleported light, though. It probably causes cancer. Everything causes cancer.
Right, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the light and death just for a second.
Okay, yeah.
So some philosophers have proposed some interesting and poetic notions about this stuff that is up for debate. Okay. Like, since UPE appears to cease abruptly upon death, is what they're saying.
Sure.
And this marks the moment when cellular activity truly ends, the actual time of death. Except. Well, that's a beautiful metaphor that scientific reality does not match up with what I just said.
Of course it doesn't. Right. Yeah.
Because UPE only gradually diminishes. It does not, like, we died, then our lights went out, and that was the time of death. What time did the lights go out? No. That's not the way it works. It wasn't all of a sudden.
Right.
The light only gradually diminishes as metabolic processes shut down.
Got it.
So like you'd have to sit there and wait for the last man out to turn out the light.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that may be like long after brain functioning has ended.
Yeah.
So you can't depend on the light as, time of death.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there's no evidence of a burst or a flash or like a soul escaping light. Boom. Okay.
Yeah.
When someone dies, contrary to some myths, though some studies of dying cells suggest that there can be slight increases in oxidative activity before death, but we're like not there yet. Okay. Like we don't know about that shit yet.
Sure.
But I'm just trying to be in the interest of honesty. Just wanted to put that out there that, while there are some studies suggesting a slight increase in those activities right before death, for the most part, there is no like light flash and then you dead, right?
Got it.
Just the natural end of biochemical activity.
Okay.
Now let's talk about UPE and Christians. This is the fun part.
Okay.
Spiritual types might cherry pick terms like photon and light and energy to imply a soul or an aura, right? That's where we're going with these things, right?
Yep.
Some might say energy can't be destroyed, so souls are energy, and that just proves that the soul is eternal.
I always find it very interesting, I guess is the word, when religion tries to enter the science world. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you should stop.
Because they're like, see, even science is agreeing with us. that they're trying to make it to where the science bends to the religion.
Yeah, but
instead of the other way.
The problem with that, though, is that if a person is actually curious, they'll look into it more. And because it's science, they'll generally find out that it has nothing to do with God.
Well, yeah.
You know? And so I feel like it's counterproductive.
Okay, it's not, though, because they're like, if I say it first, then I've addressed it. They don't have to go look it up.
Sure.
And most of them aren't curious.
Right.
So
no, and I agree with that.
They're like, if you've already heard it here first, you have no need to go see it over there. You don't have to click on that. I have saved you the trouble. Right.
But there are a lot of people that have become atheists from being in religion, and oftentimes it's because they are very curious. And I think that talking about those things is something that could turn somebody away from religion because it makes them curious about it, you know?
But a curious person was always going to be close to that line anyway.
Sure.
And so mentioning this or not mentioning this was not necessarily going to be the thing that, sent them toward deconstruction.
Got it. Yeah.
So, okay. Energy can't be destroyed. So souls are energy. And that just proves that the soul is eternal, right? That's a thing that somebody might say.
Sure.
Okay. And while that's a super cute misunderstanding of physics, because yes, energy can't be destroyed. We all know that, right?
Right.
Your body's energy becomes heat, motion, and nutrients for worms.
Okay? Well, yeah.
Soul energy isn't a thing in physics, no matter how hard you squint at the conservation of energy law. Like you can't just make it be what you want it to be.
Right.
You don't get to invent invisible energy beings just because thermodynamics exists.
Right.
You got to stick to the actual math, bitch.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, metaphysics is not science.
Well, yeah.
It's just hooey bullshit.
Right. Exactly. So. Yeah. That's the point.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then a Christian might say, the Bible says, let there be light. See, science confirms it, right? And then this is what I would say. Ready? Mm-hmm. Cool story, bruh. But just naming it light in a book doesn't mean that you predicted fucking science. That's like me writing, let there be tacos, and then taking credit for Taco Bell. Look what I did. Yeah. I said, let there be tacos. Whee!
Besides, the Bible said, let there be light twice.
It did.
And both on different days. So,
yeah. Which order?
Yeah, right.
Like,
which time? Which light are we talking about?
Right.
How, explain that more. I want to hear your explanation.
Did you know that there were 2 drafts of the 10 Commandments? Tell me about that.
Right.
You know the Bible up one side and down the other. Tell me about it. Tell me about how homosexuality is somehow worse than your wife getting raped. So you just kick the wife out the door so that you don't have these men engaging in homosexual activities. Tell me about that.
Right.
Let's talk about the Bible.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also the dashing dead babies against rocks and dancing in the blood.
By God.
By God.
Well, I mean, the dashing.
Yeah. Right. Ordered by God.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Let's go. Come on. I want to talk about the Bible.
Yeah.
So anyway, UPE is about photons from oxidative stress, not holy light rays coming from God's IKEA lamp collection. Like you don't get to just like be like, it's God's light. See, he turned on the light.
Right.
And then he turned it off. Let there be light. And now he turned it off. Like, no, that's not the way it works. It's not like that. That isn't how it goes.
Well, I think look, your people are going to believe what they believe, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, there is light, right? That is something that science has discovered inside our bodies. So people are going to see this however they want to see it.
Yeah.
But there's the difference is that science is out to find out why. Mm-hmm. And religion is there to mostly just make up excuses for things that they want to believe.
And grift. Well, so that they can continue their grift.
I'm not even talking about the people that are actually grifting. I'm talking about people that really do believe in God, right?
Okay.
They still are, like, they would use something like this to make excuses for themselves as to why they believe, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not meant to, that specifically is not meant to harm or to be menacing. It just helps them explain their own view.
Right.
and they take these small snippets and they put them into their overall belief to create whatever it is they believe. And the truth is that everybody has their own little version of what it is they believe, right? Sure. Because especially in today's day and age, you have to account for science if you truly want to believe hardcore, right? Because science exists. Science is right there in front of your face. So a lot of this is just people adapting science into their religion and making it work for them.
I mean, it's how my mom can be like a hardcore MAGA Christian and yet still go get her mammogram done to make sure that she doesn't need to go back for more breast cancer treatments.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. Yeah.
You trust doctors on that, but you won't get vaccinated for COVID.
Right.
I don't understand, but...
No, it's ridiculous.
Go with God, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
All right. So they also might say the faint light leaving the body is proof that the soul escapes at death. Except that UPE doesn't increase at death. It fizzles out just like your metabolism. Yeah. So it's not like a light leaves your body all at once. You know?
Right.
It's not like you can just watch this.
It's a real
light
slow
leaving.
fizzle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a soul. It's your cells struggling to keep the lights on one last time.
Sure.
The faint glow is basically your mitochondria calling it a day. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I'm done. Porch light on, dog barking, nobody home. You know, that's something that my mom used to say when I was little. And like this totally applies.
Yeah.
So near-death experiences, as we discussed earlier, prove the soul exists. People always describe a light. Right?
Yeah. Well.
But it's just that people on drugs sometimes describe elves, you know? Like.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So.
Exactly. Your mind is doing some fucked up shit at that point, right? So.
Just because your brain floods with chemicals and makes you hallucinate doesn't mean you visited heaven or somebody else's homeworld.
Right.
Okay?
There was a big thing back, I think it was in the 80s maybe, or maybe early 90s. I can't remember exactly when. But there was some kid that claimed to have knowledge of things that he couldn't have knowledge of. Anyway, there was the dad wrote a book and there was a whole, I should have done some research before we got into this on what this was called and everything. But turns out this kid gets older and the whole thing was bullshit. Basically.
Of course.
Yeah. No, it was just.
It's always bullshit.
Right. But they based a whole. His dad was a grifter and got him on board with this whole thing and even convinced him that it was, real.
Poor kid.
To some extent, Yeah. So it's just people will go to any length to make these things true for a multitude of reasons, whether it's money or their own beliefs or whatever it might be. So.
Yeah. I mean, NDEs, near-death experiences, they're fascinating. But they are brain phenomena. They are not spiritual travelogues.
Right.
Yeah. They cannot tell you things.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then they might say, Jesus is the light of the world. And now we all emit light. We know this now. Proof that we're made in God's image. Okay. So like if Jesus is the light of the world, his wattage is quote unquote ultra weak. The measure, ultra weak.
Right.
Because the glow is so dim that we need fancy fucking machines in pitch black rooms with special equipment to fucking see it. And being made in God's image would be a little more convincing if we didn't also share DNA with fucking bananas and rats.
Right.
Maybe
you just got lazy.
I mean, are they also made in God's image? It seems like it.
He just copy pasted some of the code from, the other shit.
I'm a banana. I'm a banana. I'm a banana. Yeah. Anyway. And then the last thing they might say is, you just don't want there to be a soul. But I'm like, honestly, I'm fine if there is. Like, sure. There can be a soul, sure. But if it's hiding in my pancreas's oxidative stress, it needs better marketing. Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I'm not.
I'm not anti-soul. I'm anti-pseudoscience.
I'm anti-bad information, right? And the problem is that what religious people who take these things and try to make them a point of their argument for religion, they're not really using the science. They're just using the headline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't really dig into what these things are or do. and they just take the idea and make it part of their new pseudo religion. So
yeah,
and it's not that I'm not okay with that. Science is there to give us facts and to learn more about our world and to help us, be healthier, to help us branch out in the solar system or universe more, to whatever, like there's a million things that science is going to and has been useful for. Religion just steals these ideas and tries to make them their own so that they don't lose relevance. And unfortunately for them, they are going to continue to lose relevance as time goes on, because there is going to be more and more science that shows exactly how the world and the universe works.
I think if the practice of religion matched the actual religious doctrines, like the be kind to each other, don't steal from each other, like if those Jesus-y type things were better, like I think if Christians were better Christians, maybe I wouldn't have such a like snarky tone towards religion as a whole, and it would have a fine place, like whatever.
You mean if they weren't hateful?
Yeah.
And assholes.
And
to other people.
Creating laws that make me and mine feel afraid.
Yeah, I wouldn't give a shit at that point. Like, you do whatever you want to do over there.
Right.
That would be, it would kind of make this whole podcast not necessary.
Right. Exactly.
And
then we really would be the assholes.
But unfortunately, we all know what world we're living in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And religion is very relevant to our lives, whether or not you believe or not. And so we're forced to deal with this and respond to things that they usurp from science and that they claim to be true because of their religion.
So I wrote down some reasons why hijacking science for religious purposes is bullshittery at its finest.
Okay.
And we've kind of been going there, but
yeah,
I wanted to specifically hit these points.
Sure.
Okay. For one thing, it undermines scientific literacy and encourages anti-empirical thinking.
Sure.
When people hijack real scientific terms like photons, energy, quantum mechanics, and then they glue them to supernatural ideas, they muddy the water. It confuses the public, and it makes it harder for people to tell the difference between what's measurable and what's made up. And honestly, we don't need more science denial than we're already dealing with. When you let soul light pass as proof of an afterlife, you're teaching people that feelings are evidence of facts. And once that door is open, we get flat earth, anti-vax, conspiracy YouTube, and everything's on the table. So UPE isn't the problem, like the ultra weak photon, whatever light, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's not the problem. But twisting it into spirit glow nonsense is part of a larger epidemic of belief without evidence.
Well, yeah, it's a lot easier to talk about something that's fantastical, and it's easier to make that stuff digestible,
Mm-hmm.
right? As opposed to scientific literature, which is very not accessible to most people as far as understanding the workings of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easier to take these ideas and twist them into something that is not real and get people to take that idea as opposed to having them read a scientific journal. Right?
Exactly.
That's why this succeeds. It's why people succeed twisting these ideas into religious ideas.
Exactly. So another reason why it's bad is that it enables grief exploitation. When someone near us dies, we as mourners are at our most vulnerable. We want to believe there's more for the person that we just lost.
Sure.
And grifters know that. Whether it's pastors selling soul light as proof of heaven, or TikTok mediums offering to photograph your aura for like $49.99. Operators standing by. This pseudoscience gets weaponized against people in mourning, and that's gross.
Yeah.
It's just fucking gross. The grift is just wrong. Taking advantage of people when they're at their most vulnerable, and you're giving them false hope.
Yeah.
And it's just gross.
It is.
That's more like on a smaller scale of why it's bad, but no less important, I think.
Right.
Finally, and I've talked about this one before, it hijacks awe and wonder. One of the sneakiest things religion does is steal all from reality and repackage it with a halo. But science is way cooler without... let me read that again. Science is way cooler than a spiritual metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to read something that, like, I spent a good half hour trying to piece this together. And, like, it brought me to tears when I was done.
Okay. All right.
You are, for a fact, a warm, pulsing collection of stardust powered by tiny chemical reactions that emit light. You're literally a little beacon of life. That should blow your fucking mind. You don't need a soul to be magical. You are the magic, baby. You glow because you're alive, not because a ghost is trying to sneak out of your meat suit. Biology is amazing enough without adding magic, auras, or ghosts.
Yeah.
Science already gives us a light show. We don't need to invent things and make stuff up. Let's protect the signal from the noise and keep the beauty of science from getting smothered by superstition.
Yeah.
That is my call to action right there.
Definitely. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
This is not the only time where science has tried to, or not science, where religion has tried to usurp a scientific idea and make it their own. You know, NDEs are one of the biggest ones out there for years, for decades.
Near-death experiences.
Yeah, near-death experiences. And there are a multitude of other ideas that have sprung up in religion from science that they've tried to incorporate into their religions. And it just, again, I there's enough wonder and awe in science to not ever have to get anywhere near religion. You know?
I mean, the whole reason that I wanted to talk about this for our atheist podcast is that it's just a neat scientific thing, but because it is a light extinguished in our bodies upon death, I could see exactly, like, my initial reaction was like, oh, wow, cool. Science is so neat, measurable, blah, 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 blah. But then my next immediate reaction was, oh, wait till the Christians get a hold of that. Like, I could just see them running away with this.
Oh, yeah.
And turning it into the whole afterlife and souls and all of that. And I was like, not today, motherfucker.
Right.
Not today, Satan. So I was like, even though this is still a very, very, very new discovery, very controversial, even because not a lot of extensive research has gone into it. And only a handful of researchers have actually done this research and put the paper out there. I wanted to just get on it. You know, and just say, hey, before anybody else usurps this, love the science. Science the fuck out of it. Okay?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you have anything else to add today, or?
I think I've ranted enough against men and Christians and, anti-sciencers.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed that. I was happy to know about, the light in us.
I literally was calling this
in a scientific way.
I'm gonna knock your lights out.
Yeah.
Like if you punch
that's good. Yeah.
If you punch somebody hard enough and you kill them, right, you can knock their lights out.
Knock their lights out. Yeah. That's funny.
Right?
Yeah. I'll have to consider that as a title, maybe. All right. Do you have anything else to add?
That was it.
All right. Well, that was our special episode for today, which hopefully we're going to be back again tomorrow or very, very soon with another regular episode, which is our Q&A. I do have
our Q&A over chapters 5 through 8, and it's a little bit extensive because I wanted to remind us why I was stopping to recap particularly chapters 1 through 8 of Zechariah.
Sure. We did mean to get that out today, but it did take a little longer to research than we anticipated. So
because it, like I said, is a little bit extensive.
Yeah, definitely. But again, I want to mention one more time, we've got our first live Sunday episode coming up on Discord this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
And I have no idea what the topic is yet.
Right. So if you haven't joined us on Discord yet, get over there, join us. We've got a link on our website and always in the show notes as well. So go do that, and we will see you guys next time.
Keep your lights on, guys.
Bye.
Bye.